Do you have difficulty following a film or a series in English without subtitles? Do native speakers sometimes speak so fast that you can't understand a word they've said? Well, if you have answered yes to either of these questions, then this video is for you. Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Kirsty, and in today's video, we are going to look at how to improve your listening skills when it comes to fast spoken English. I am going to give you 5 techniques, actionable techniques that you can use. We are going to look at how to identify reduced form, focus on content words, chunk, yes, it's a thing, shadow, and speed listen. In fast English, people often reduce words. This is probably the main reason why you don't understand fast spoken English. For example, want to becomes wanna. Do you becomes je, meaning that je wanna means do you want to. There are 4 words in je wanna. 4 words. And these reduced forms are very common in casual speech, and so they are common in films and in series. You need to know them to understand fast spoken English. Let's look at some more examples. So we've seen want to becomes wanna. Do you want to come for a coffee? Going to becomes gonna. I'm gonna go home. Did you becomes due. Do you find that email you were looking for? Do you, do you like sushi? Note, depending on where you are in the English speaking world, do you can sound a little different in reduced form. Because becomes cause. Cause I'm late for work. Lot of becomes lotta. She had a lot of money. Give me becomes gimme. Gimme 5 minutes. I don't know becomes dunno. Where are they? Dunno. Could have becomes coulda. You could have said sorry. What are you becomes whatcha. What you doing this weekend? Has to becomes hasta. He has to take the dog for a walk. And should have becomes should have. For the Americans, it's shoulda. For the British, it's should have. Oh, we should have taken a taxi. When you watch Netflix, for example, or Amazon Prime in English with English subtitles, you will sometimes read, we should have taken a taxi, or we should have taken a taxi. That's what you will read. But you will hear, we should have taken a taxi. And then you will think, why can't I understand spoken English? And now you know why. It's not your fault. Please note that we do not use reduced form in written English. Ever. Let me know in the comments below if learning a little bit about reduced form has helped you understand why you're having difficulty, and if you would like for me to do a longer video on the subject. Now let's look at focusing on content words. Even though the main problem is understanding reduced form, there are other things that you can do to help you better understand fast spoken English. Let's look at content words versus function words. Content words, nouns, verbs, adjectives. They carry the meaning of a sentence, while function words, prepositions, conjunctions are often spoken quickly and quietly. I'm going to ask you to press pause, turn off the subtitles if you have any on, and listen without subtitles to this next sentence. Go on, press pause. I'm going to the shop to buy some milk. Did you understand that sentence without subtitles? Let me say it again. I'm going to the shop to buy some milk. If you focus on the main words going, shop, buy, and milk, you'll understand the meaning even if you miss some of the function words. Did you notice how in the example sentence, to becomes t? I'm going to the shop, but you still understood the meaning, right? If you listen to a lot of English audible input, that means podcasts, films, series, radio, the recognition of content words will eventually fall into place because the brain maps out patterns. Our brains are naturally designed to see and form patterns. And in language, our brain is even predicting what the next sound, maybe even what the next word will be. You need to listen to a lot of English input to get your brain to do this. Your brain cannot guess what the next word might be if you've only listened to 2 English sentences. I used this technique a lot when I was learning French. I would put French radio on in the room while I was doing other things. It works. Chunking. Breaking down speech into pieces and learning several words as a unit. If you had to learn a phone number as one long list of numbers, 0, 5, 1, 6, 8, 7, 3, 3, 2, it would be quite difficult to remember. But we present phone numbers in chunks like this, 051, 687, 332, which help our brain to remember because, as I mentioned just before, our brain likes patterns. So chunking means learning phrases or groups of words rather than individual words. If you spend your time looking up the definition of every word you don't know in a sentence, you will learn a list of words. But if you accept to understand the meaning of the sentence because you know most of the words, you will learn the language. I use this a lot when I do workshops with children. It's a much more intuitive way to learn vocabulary fast. I also hear my own children doing this. We live in France and I speak to them in English. All of their screen input or time is in English, and they sometimes come out with whole English phrases that they've clearly heard on some American kids TV show. And I can tell that they don't know the meaning of every single word in the phrase that they use, but they do know and they have recognized when to use the chunk of words. Research has shown, in fact, that 20% of the speech of young English-speaking children is in frozen phrases, meaning the children learn a few words together as one unit. So they sometimes understand the meaning of a phrase, but not every word in the phrase. This would mean that learning the phrase "can I have" as a chunk to order something at a coffee shop, for example, "can I have a black coffee please," would be easier than first learning how to use the modal verb can on its own. How can you apply chunking? What I want to show you is that it's important to stop looking up the meaning of every single word in a sentence if, and only if, you understand the meaning of a sentence or a paragraph as a whole. One of the easiest ways to learn chunks is to read, but also to watch series and films, press pause, repeat what you've just heard, and go again. Which brings us to our next tip, shadowing. Shadowing is when you listen to a sentence or a conversation and immediately repeat it out loud. The aim is to imitate as close as possible what you hear. It improves your accent and trains your brain to process English faster. As I've mentioned, I speak fluent French, and this is the main technique I use to get there fast. Watching a film scene, pressing pause, repeating out loud, going back, listening and repeating, and so on. And for our last tip, you can improve your comprehension skills through listening practice. To understand fast speech, you need to expose yourself to it daily. As I've mentioned earlier, it really helps the brain to recognize patterns in the language. You need to watch videos, listen to podcasts, and practice listening to fast conversation. One great way to train is to watch videos or listen to audio at different speeds. Start with normal speed and then try increasing it by 10 to 20%. Or You can do the opposite. If you are struggling with understanding someone, slow the speed down and work up to normal speed. Did you know that on a YouTube video, you can go into settings and change the speed very easily? So make sure to make good use of this very helpful tool. So to round up, you need to learn the reduced form examples, focus on content words, get lots of listening practice, and when listening, use the pause button to chunk and shadow. I'm afraid that's all we have time for today. If you have found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. I hope to see you again here soon. Bye for now.